I'm not dead, I haven't died, I haven't fallen off the face of the earth. I've just been so busy with a number of things over the past sort of 2-3 weeks. I have been buying some new games. I will do some videos of those in the near future. One of the reasons why I haven't been posting any videos up on YouTube is because of a recent delivery of a new device. And I've been doing various testing on that device for the company that's actually made it. I've been lucky to be one of the testers before it's actually been released to general public. It is a device called a Sync Strike. I'll explain the intricacies of it in a minute. It's made by the same people that have made the SLG 3000 scanline generator, and one of the main reasons for the production of this unit was to basically enable, as the core requirement, to basically enable people that have bought one of the cheap eBay scalers that I've done various videos on previously, and other people have as well, CGA to VGA Scaler, that retails for anywhere between £30 to £50 on eBay, that you can actually use to connect into your console, into the scaler, through the scaler, into an SLG 3000 and into a monitor to get your scan lines. That's nothing new. Sorry, that's nothing new. But to actually get that to work, to get that chain to work correctly, for that specific scaler, you had to run a modification on it. A, to accept a SCART input, because the scaler doesn't accept a SCART input, and also you have to build in an additional circuit to the scaler as part of the source feed from the SCART, to do some funky things with the sync signal. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about that. I think I've already covered that actually on previous videos. Now, that is absolutely fine if you don't mind doing a bit of soldering. It's not a difficult thing to do, but there's a number of people out there. I've received quite a few PMs, messages from YouTube or from various forums that I visit to ask me how to make that circuit. I've actually put a discussion thread about that that's been running for some time now on Shmups forum, but there's still people out there, and I can sympathise with those people that don't want to do the soldering. They just either they can't be asked to do it, or it frightens them, so they actually want to buy a solution that does all that for them, and basically to enable them to use the SLG 3000 with a cheap scaler. So basically what the company's done that create the SLG 3000 is they've created this device called the Sync Strike, which its core functionality is basically to be able to accept a SCART RGB feed, then to output a D sub 15 from that, but also clean the sync up so it will work at least with the CGA to VGA scaler. That's quite a simplistic sort of reasoning behind it, and certainly its core benefit. But from doing various testing with the device that I've actually got, it will do a number of other things as well, and I'll try and cover that as much as I can in this video, really, information video. So I'm sure most people, or a lot of people, are familiar with the eBay scaler, and here's one I prepared earlier. So that's the eBay scaler. So you've got your input here at the front, various inputs, whether you want to use component or you want to use a D sub 15, or for the purpose of actually building your own sync splitter, which is what I did originally, is you actually wire into the header, which plugs into here at the top. Excuse me. Now, I've been cutting wires on this, so I've been doing a lot of testing with various things, but so, and I'm not going to go into into too much detail about this, but basically this was the original circuit that I had. I built a SCART RGB input connection with a sync splitter circuit and audio output, so I could actually break out to audio from the original SCART socket, and all that is basically wired into this header strip that's on the board there. So yeah, so you've got all this gubbins hanging out, and it does work. It's absolutely fine. Well, it will work again once I reconnect some wires that I've snipped as part of the testing I've been doing. But ideally, you don't want any of this crap hanging about, really. So I'll just pull that off for a moment. Now this device here, this is the sync strike, and hopefully that will focus. So on one end we've got a SCART input, yeah, which is there. You've got audio breakout as well on the circuit board, so left and right phono output, which is taken from the SCART input, and you've got your D sub 15 output. There's various switches on here as well. I've actually connected as well a lead to power it, because it's got an additional power feed on it, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail in a bit. And it's got various switches on there, and this is for changing the selection of power source, whether it's from SCART, whether it's external, and also making changes to the sync signal. And again, I'll try and go through that in a bit more detail. So that's the device, and I suppose if I compare it against the SLG, it's much the muchness as regards to what they look like. Well, obviously they look different, but sort of the build quality, they're very good. It's been built very good, a nice solid and compact design. Certainly if you compare it to something like, you know, all this wiring here, it's a hell of a lot better. So yeah, just going through the basic core functionality of it. So if we imagine that this SCART lead here, which is a PlayStation 2 SCART lead, now obviously it's not connected to anything, there's no point in me showing you stuff plugged in, because I can't really show you anything in essence apart from the fact it provides a picture, but you know, I can't see the point in that. But basically we got the SCART lead here, so imagine that's plugged into my console. So we plug that into the SCART socket there on the sync strike. Now the only additional thing we need that isn't supplied with the kit is a VGA to VGA lead, or Super VGA to Super VGA lead, commonly known as. Basically D sub 15 to D sub 15, which both ends are male. And you plug one into the D sub 15 on the sync strike like that, and you take the other end of it and you plug that straight into your scaler input at the front. So we'll plug that straight into the scaler, just like that, and that's it. That's your job done. And I've got a various length of lead here. You can buy them smaller, you know, but it's as easy as that. It really is a plug and play solution, and it does work. Trust me, 'cause I've tried it. It does work. I've tested it, and it works fine. So it saves you from having all this crap here, you know, which does work, but because it's all hardwired in effectively into the scaler, you can't use it for other things. And the sync strike will do other things for you if you're inclined that way, and I'll give you a bit of an insight to what else it does. So just showing you that basically as a basic sort of setup configuration, it is literally plug and play, it really is. So that's the way it works with the CGA to VGA scaler, which obviously, well, I say obviously, I presume you then feed into the SLG 3000 and then into your LCD monitor. So it really is out the bag. Get a D sub 15 lead, male to male, and obviously SCART lead from your RGB console, plug it in, off you go, job done. it will work straight away. I've had a number of people that have PM'd me as well that they've tried to build the sink sink cleaner circuit for the CGA to VGA Scaler, and they've had issues with it. Well, it is a fairly easy circuit to do, and there's no reason why you should get a problem with it. But certainly if you buy a solution like this, if you buy the Sync Strike, it will just work. It will just work. Now, I'll get the price out of the way first. It is actually available now. It is the company are taking orders on this device now. I'll show the link to where to buy it from in the comments on the video, so at least you can see where to go to. And it is a pretty reasonable, in my view, a pretty reasonable, approximately £25 plus postage, which I think is a very good price, to be fair, for what you're getting for it. Now, if you just take this as a pure sink cleaner, then you could build the circuit. I suppose you'd be talking about a tenner, and it won't look as nice as that. It's probably a good take if you do it properly with zip ties, etc. You buy some circuit board and you do the proper phono breakouts, etc., etc. So you take your time over doing it properly. It'll probably end up costing you a tenner, really, all in. So for an extra £15, you get something that actually looks a bit better. Well, sorry, looks a lot better, and it is literally plug and play. And you can use it. You can use this device for other things, which I will go into. Now, going back to the power side of it. Now, this circuit needs a power supply. Most RGB SCART leads from consoles have a power feed into them on SCART pin 8, and it can range between 5 volts up to 12 volts. But not all SCART leads do have a power supply to them, not all of them. Most of them do. I'd probably say 95% of them do. A lot of home modded consoles for RGB won't have them. Certainly the early ones didn't. But most commercial leads will. As with the SLG 3000, even though it needs a power feed, if your SCART lead supplies power, you've got an extremely high chance, because it should be at least 5 volts, and this will work at a minimum of 5 volts that I've tested it on. It will mean that you won't have to use the external power, and basically you've got a switch on here that you tell it whether you want to use SCART power or external PSU power. I've got mine connected because I've been doing testing with consoles that don't have a power feed to the SCART. The easiest way to know that in regards to whether your SCART lead has got power going to it that's sufficient is that the board has got an LED light on it, same as SLG 3000. Basically, if you can see that light when you're flipped to the SCART mode for power, it will work, so you're okay, you're good to go. And like I said, for most people there's very little reason why you'd want to use external power, if I'm being honest, for the normal sync cleaner mode. So that's a very brief overview really of the device, certainly of its core requirement as regards to how you connect, etc. So let's go into a bit more sort of detail really about what else it can do for you, this device. There are various consoles in existence that have struggled before, notoriously, with certain devices to get a stable sync on them. You know, the picture will roll, you get a lot of interference on it. Something like the PC Engine, if you wanted to have a PC Engine that went through something like a DVDO EDGE, a DVDO EDGE video processor, and they can cause problems. There's a couple of issue consoles out there. One of them is the PC Engine, another one is the Mega Drive 1 and the original Mega Drive console, and also the Neo Geo AES, and they can cause problems with scalers. Now, I've tried, I've got various leads, and one of the sync cleaner devices that I've got before I had this device was something called a Sync Blaster, which is supposed to do the same kind of thing as this device. So it takes an RGB SCART signal, outputs a D sub 15 connection, and it cleans the sync up. Now, whilst that worked on some consoles, it didn't work on others, and one of them in particular was TurboGrafx 16. Wouldn't work very well, or well, I won't say that. It wouldn't work at all with the DVDO EDGE. It wouldn't get a sync signal, even with the Sync Blaster. So I tested this with my TurboGrafx 16. It's been hard modded to output an RGB signal. It's fairly easy to do, to be honest, but anyway. And it worked. It was a stable sync signal, stable picture, absolutely brilliant, worked. So that's one of the other uses for it specifically. I'm just reviewing a thread that I started, discussion thread that I started on this device, really. That's on the Shmups forum. It's called New Sync Strike, available now. So if you want to go to Shmups forum, it's in the hardware section, and there's various discussions about this device. I'll put on there what it does, etc. And a few of the other testers that have received these devices, they're updating the thread as well with various devices that they've tried it with, you know, to show it works and what it works with and possibly what it doesn't work with. But I don't think we've had anything that's been a no-show at the moment. It's basically worked with everything that we've thrown at it, and it's certainly given me better results than a Sync Blaster cable, which retails for about £65–70, and it's the same in essence, but obviously it's not, because the Sync Strike does a better job in certain instances. It's been tested with all the major consoles, so, and it has been tested with ones that have been known to give problems with scalers. Well, it's been tested with the PC Engine. Fine, well, I've tested that myself, but someone else has tested it. Yeah, it's been tested with the Mega Drive 1 and with the power base converter, 56Hz modded. Works fine with that. So I'll just give you a very quick run through the consoles it has been tested with. Master System 1, Saturn, Dreamcast, Mega Drive 1, 2, Super Nintendo, I've personally done that one as well. N64 works fine with, PS1, PS2, I've checked it with the PS2, PC Engine, I've checked it with my PC Engine, Xbox, the original Xbox, and also Neo Geo MVS. Now, I don't think anyone has checked this yet with the Neo Geo AES. I have got an AES, but it is in the garage at the moment. I haven't had time to get that out, so I need to try that hopefully over the weekend and try it with that and make sure that works. But it's been pretty much bench tested with sort of nearly all the mainstream retro consoles out there, and it works with everything. Something else that I did try it with, just going to have a look here, see if I can find the information. Yeah, one bonus about this device is if you've got a DVDO EDGE, normally to connect a console to the EDGE you would use the RGBS input, which is red, green and blue on the phono sockets on the back of the EDGE, followed by composite sync. If you use this device and you use the PC1 input, I think it's PC1 or PC1, component 2 input PC input, I think it's called that, where you use the RGB phonos the same, but you actually use the horizontal and vertical inputs for that PC input, but you only use the horizontal phono. Sounds complicated, but just bear with me. So basically you connect your console to this. You then need a breakout lead, and I've got one, but it's in my box. Right, you then need a breakout lead from this that goes to D sub 15 to RGB, horizontal sync and vertical sync phonos. They're quite hard to actually buy those ones, but you can make them up yourself fairly easily. If you use that to connect them to your DVDO EDGE on RG and B, but only connect the horizontal vertical sync phono, the picture is absolutely mint. It's so much better than RGBS. It really is. It's a lot sharper, the colours are a lot more vivid, and it's actually recognised as a horizontal and vertical sync input. Now, through discussions we had on the forums, we're not sure whether or not on the Edge specifically that is actually being caused by the fact that it's been recognised correctly on a different input as RGB HV as opposed to RGBS composite sync. Pure sync is obviously better in many respects, and certainly as regards to the DVDO EDGE, it makes a big difference in my opinion. It's like it's you know, if you had the option of the two on screen side by side, you would pick the feed from this into RGB horizontal sync phonos. You really would. And there's been some other various things that have been found out. I'm just trying to pick out the things that are right, it works flawlessly with an arcade monitor. So if you've got, well, an arcade monitor, if you've got an arcade machine and you want a solution that enables you to connect your RGB console, SCART RGB console, to an arcade monitor. Now obviously if you're coming from a retro console, or well, any console that's outputting SCART RGB, you've got to have a monitor, an arcade monitor, that is low res compatible, 15 kHz compatible. If you have, you can use this device to connect straight to that monitor to get absolutely pin sharp CRT image, and of course because it's a 15 kHz you get the added benefit of the natural scan lines on it. Looks mint. It's definitely worth doing if you're into playing your consoles and you've got the ability to have an arcade monitor. So it covers that as well. It will work with arcade monitors. Now the only other thing worth mentioning, and I've yet to find a use for it yet, I've got to be honest, is that I mentioned the fact that you've got a switch here for the sync type. Now for 99% of most people's requirements, they will leave the switch in C sync mode. Now you've got another position on the switch which is called H sync mode, and in theory that should output a horizontal sync signal as well as a vertical sync signal. So if you have a requirement for a true horizontal and vertical sync feed or output from a SCART RGB input, this device will let you do that. And my TriSync monitors will actually enable me to flip between the two, and it will display a picture on both of them because it's compatible with with both types of signals. Normally that wouldn't work on various other output devices, but the fact that I can try it to make sure it does work, I know it does work, but it's a fairly limited use, but there is an additional use there if you would need it. I can't see personally why you would need to flip between the two. What reason would you need to output vertical and horizontal sync? I don't know. I think it's fairly limited, that is. So yeah, that's the device, and it you know, as I said, it works. So for all the people that have been asking about how to get hold of or build a sink stripper or sink cleaner, don't bother, just buy one of these. I honestly thought that even though I was lucky enough to be one of the testers, and because I've got various bits of equipment, I said yeah, absolutely. I was genuinely interested in the product itself. I did actually think, you know what, I'm not going to use this. I'll carry on using my sink blaster cable, but I won't. I won't. I'll be using this from now on. It's much smaller. It's just it's easy to use in my opinion. You know, it's got the breakouts on it already. I had to adapt my sink master lead to get breakouts on it. So it's a great bit of kit, and for 25 quid you can't really go wrong. So look at the website that's in the comments of this video and get ordering it. It's a real good device. Speak to you soon.